The sinking of the Titanic is one of the deadliest disasters in history. But what was life like on board the ship before it sank? Let's find out. The Titanic was the largest ship afloat at the time and a status symbol of wealth and luxury. The ship had 3 classes of passengers: first, second, and third. First-class passengers were mostly wealthy businessmen and their families who had made their money in industries such as shipping, banking, and manufacturing. They enjoyed the finest food and drink, including caviar, lobster, and champagne. Their cabins were spacious and luxurious, often with private bathrooms and dedicated stewards. Some even had balconies. Second-class passengers were not as wealthy as the first-class passengers, but they were still considered to be upper middle class. They had access to a separate dining room and lounge, and their cabins were smaller, but still comfortable. Third-class passengers were the most numerous, but also the poorest. They were mostly young men working as servants or laborers who had paid for their passage with their own money or borrowed money. They had very little money to spare and were mostly too poor to eat at the ship's restaurant. Instead, they either brought food with them or ate at cheap eateries near the docks. Their cabins were cramped and often shared with other passengers. Many of them were immigrants who had left Europe in search of a better life in America. But it wasn't all about the money. There were also strict rules and etiquette to follow on the ship. For example, first-class passengers were not allowed to associate with lower-class passengers. There were also rules about where passengers could smoke and drink. And on the top deck, there was a sign that read, "No person whatever to be on the poop deck after dark." Despite the rules, there were still some things that passengers could do to have fun. There was a library, a gymnasium, and a swimming pool. There was also live music every night in the first-class lounge. Some passengers brought their pets with them on the ship, including dogs, cats, and even a monkey. But perhaps the most exciting thing about being on the Titanic was the sense of adventure and exploration. The ship was the largest and most luxurious ever built, and many passengers saw it as a chance to experience something new and exciting. They dressed up in their finest clothes for dinner and danced the night away in the ballroom. They took their meals on fine china and ate with real silverware. They drank champagne and other alcoholic beverages. For many people, it was the adventure of a lifetime. But it was an adventure that would come to a tragic end just a few days later when the Titanic sank after hitting an iceberg. Thank you for watching.